there's something wrong with that kid. Stop asking all these questions. It's clear you aren't listening. Oh my gosh, don't you get the reference? Read the room. If you've heard any of these phrases or know someone who has, then you're in good company. My name is Morgan Breeze, and today I would like to share my story on how attention deficit disorder has been a part of my life and some of the struggles I've had to face because of it. The most common rendition of ADD is someone who can't focus, is disorganized, and is generally being disruptive. And while sometimes this is true, the reality is that ADD presents differently from person to person and has a huge difference in symptoms between boys and girls. It acts more like a color wheel, and each person who has an ADD or ADHD diagnosis has their own amount of colors and symptoms splattered onto them. No two people are exactly alike. Truthfully, attention deficit disorder can be misleading at times. It's not that I can't focus on anything, it's that I'm focusing on too many things at once and can't pick between them. Here, I'll give you an example. A quote, normal person in their living room would just be able to watch the TV. I, on the other hand, will notice the TV, the loud wind outside, or whatever's going on outside, the pets in the house, random thoughts of different activities and or chores that I have to either get done or I've just done, and the list goes on. My personal experience doesn't have all the potential symptoms or effects, thankfully, but here's a list of what I have been dealing with every day. Hopefully some of you can relate. Being forgetful, especially forgetting to eat, having childish hobbies and interests, clumsiness, anxiety and depression, fidgeting or leg tapping, being a picky eater when I was younger, needing extra clarification on instructions or tasks, especially on homework, not having the greatest social skills, disorganized, a lack of direction, meaning I have no internal map, I do not respond well to change, and I have difficulty scheduling events and socializing with friends. I've also had panic attacks, and I've also had extreme emotional responses to different things in my life. Again, I listed these symptoms off just to give you a better idea of what someone with ADD or ADHD is dealing with. This is not me complaining about, oh, my life is so hard. That's not it. Again, this is meant to help people understand ADD and potentially be able to help someone who either has it or suspects that they do have it. Earlier diagnoses does make life so much easier, and I say this as someone who did not get diagnosed right away. The worst of it was when I started middle school, teachers would get annoyed with me for asking so many questions or not understanding their lesson. There was no sympathy, nor patience, nor understanding that may have came with an earlier diagnosis. They might have been more willing to work with me. The most ironic part about that, though, is I actually was tested for ADD and autism and ADHD when I was in elementary school. However, the standardized test that they used was targeted for disruptive symptoms, i.e., the symptoms that would be more commonly found in boys and men. ADD in girls is less noticeable, and that's just the fact, which is why it remained undetected for so long, and I developed side effects of anxiety and depression when I grew a little older. This oversight caused a lot of problems growing up. Teachers, again, would be frustrated for me not being able to follow along nor understand her directions. This one teacher I had would dole out detentions for me like they were lunch money. She also made it a point to remind my classmates that I was failing in the middle of the semester. It didn't help that I was being called dramatic whenever I began to show frustration. No one knew it at the time, but I was feeling emotions much stronger than normal people. Quote, normal people. Though what really dug into me was the realization that adults wouldn't listen to me unless I was calm. And now as an adult, I've developed a habit of having a stone face and being quiet whenever I receive bad news. This has led to a new problem, though. I'm now perceived as insensitive. And as an adult, I still struggle to show the, quote, right amount of or normal amount of emotion or expressions in different situations. In fact, the only reason I was diagnosed was because I started using the online questionnaires, not Facebook, to begin diagnosing myself. I was beginning to have huge memory lapses once I got out of college the first time, and that terrified me. The message that I want people to take away from this is that if you can relate or had any number of symptoms or difficulties in your school life that I had listed before, just take an investigation at it, take a crack at it. These online questionnaires and these surveys, they're free, they're online, you can look them up. Again, don't go to Facebook, that's not going to help you. Choose one run by a clinic or some organization. You may just begin to learn different things about yourself. You can learn better ways to complete tasks and live your life. And I'm not just saying about medication, you may not need medication. ADD for me was learning that I had to play by a different set of rules to get the same tasks done. And that just because I had to do things differently didn't mean that I was wrong in doing them. So, if this is any of you listeners now, the same applies to you. So, I encourage you, please take a good look at yourself. You deserve that self made moment in the spotlight. You deserve to look at yourself and understand yourself.